Over the past few years, inflation has risen significantly, where a recent study shows that currently the most important financial problem facing US families is the cost of living at 41%, and that alone has been on the uptrend over the past few years. Which, crazy enough, since the pandemic, Americans have had an excess of $2.1 trillion in savings, where by September 2024, that is now a negative $291 billion. And so with inflation being a factor to consider, by understanding the 6 mistakes that I'm about to discuss in this video, I have no doubts you'll be on the right path to improving your finances. Now, I will have timestamps created for you, but to get straight to it, the first topic that we have to discuss is the uprising buy now, pay later. So buy now, pay later is a payment method that pretty much allows you to make purchases and pay them over a specific period of time, rather than having to pay the full amount up front. In fact, this method was used by 12% of Americans in 2022 and has grown to 14% in 2023, where the article specifically states that the range could now be anywhere from 12 to even more than 60%. So an example of this that I found was for higher end bikes, where they say right now, pay later. And on the site, they specifically say that their $1,300 bike might cost $39 a month for 36 months at a 15% APR. APR stands for annual percentage rate, which is the total cost of borrowing money with a credit card, or for this case, installment loan, which many times the APR is determined based on your credit worthiness, where the website on the bikes also says the rate could be 0% or 10 to 30% based on your credit. But know that research has reported 18% of Americans who have used buy now, pay later have made a late payment, where other surveys showed results between 7 to even 56%. Not just that, but this payment method is changing how consumers spend, where another research study showed that consumers who adopted buy now, pay later were more likely to purchase, with the amount increasing from 17 to 26%. And remarkably, the increases in spending were not short-lived, and the buy now, pay later market is expected to continue growing substantially in the upcoming years. Which, the fact that you can do this on Amazon for orders above $50 makes it seem as though you can buy anything you want at any time. But knowing that, the biggest thing that you have to be aware of here is that even though your purchases may start off as interest-free, any late payments can result in fees and high interest, which only worsens over time. And because it encourages overspending, in our market nowadays, accumulating bad debt has never been easier. Now, if you truly understand your entire budget and can avoid all interest, a buy now, pay later method may seem financially beneficial. However, the data shows that many fall into the trap of stacking up numerous payments and find themselves unable to pay it off. Personally, I just believe that for the most part, it leads people into the wrong direction financially, and I'd recommend proceeding with caution, and if anything, avoid it as much as possible. And yet alone, if nearly half of Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck and credit card debt is constantly rising, avoiding more unnecessary debt only seems logical. Which, speaking of rising debt, the next mistake that must be fixed is carrying high interest debt. Now, according to the credit bureau Experian, high interest debt is generally seen as debt that has an interest rate of 8% or higher, where some of the most common types of debt here are student loans, mortgage, auto loan, personal loan, credit cards, and don't forget the buy now, pay later method that I just mentioned. But to emphasize the impact of carrying high interest debt, let's say that you are currently carrying over a total credit card balance of $10,000 that you cannot pay. Well, the average credit card interest rate currently is 24.26%, which has risen significantly over the past few years. So let's say you reassess your position, you cut the budget, and you start allocating $500 every month into paying off this debt. By doing so, it would take you 26 months to fully pay it off, and yet alone, because you were late and charged high interest, you would have had to pay an extra $3,000 over that time, making that a total of $13,000 in costs. If that didn't surprise you, imagine an investment where you are guaranteed a 24% annual return. To get a return that great, that is guaranteed, I wouldn't even question it. All in all, just understand that carrying high interest debt without paying it off will only worsen your financial situation over time, where if you can pay it off and start investing, you give your money the opportunity to grow and compound over time, bringing you closer to financial freedom one day. Which, that's a huge reason why I create the content I do, so if you are finding value in this content, all I ask is that you consider hitting the like button and subscribing with notifications on for future content like this. But leading on from there, the next topic is having a bad credit credit score. If you didn't know, your credit score affects your ability to buy or rent a home, qualify for loans, get better rates on loans, and gain access to higher tier credit cards. Now, there is a common misconception here that it's bad to use credit cards, but the truth is, it's only bad if you don't know how to use them properly. In fact, if you use them properly, you can increase your credit score, which can significantly impact the rate that you have to pay on loans. For example, this image shows the difference between a good and bad credit score when it comes to getting a 30-year mortgage, where the good score between 760 to 850 would have achieved around a 6.5% interest rate, resulting in a monthly payment of $1,888, where a bad score between 620 to 639 would have received an 8% interest rate, resulting in a monthly payment of $2,211. If that doesn't sound like much of an impact for you, over 30 years of owning a home and paying off the mortgage, that total interest you would have paid to the lender would be either $379,000 or $496,000. That is the difference of over $116,000 just because you responsibly used credit cards to get a good credit score. So to fix this, you first have to understand the 5 main factors that affect your score, with the largest impact being payment history at 35%. All this means is to pay your debt on time and in full every month without ever missing a payment. And understand that your credit score is not solely based on credit cards, but all types of debt that report to credit bureaus will have an impact, where FICO specifically points out credit cards, installment loans such as car loans, or even mortgage loans apply. The next factor that affects your score is the amount owed, also known as the utilization rate, and it's reported that if you avoid using more than 30% of the credit limit on any one card, the overall usage takes care of itself and you'll be in good shape. But it is noted by Experian that people who keep their credit utilization under 10% for each of their cards tend to have exceptional credit scores of 800 or higher. After that, we also have the length of credit history at 15%, where the longer credit history you have across all of your accounts, the better it looks to lenders. And then there is new credit at 10%, where opening up new debt can lower your score temporarily. And the last 10% is credit mix, that is based on the different types of debt that you have, which can positively impact your score as it shows lenders that you know how to manage your finances. Now, if you are interested to build your credit score, I'll have a link in the description below to some of the top credit cards you may want to consider. But moving on from there, the next topic is a lack of savings. So studies show that 59% of Americans are uncomfortable with their level of emergency savings, where 27% of US adults have no emergency savings at all. This is among the most underrated financial mistake, because without it, how is one able to invest and become financially free one day? And not just that, but without savings, if an emergency were to come up, like a medical bill, car repair, job loss, the list goes on, but the only option from there would lead you to debt or extreme financial stress. On top of that, if you don't have sufficient savings, it may lead you to making poor financial decisions, like going all in on a penny stock or betting it all on a lottery ticket or at the casino. Because of that, rather than trying to repeat a cycle of trying to get rich quick, taking the time to pay off debt and reach enough savings for cushion will allow you to have more opportunities in your life to pursue things like a particular career that you enjoy, starting a business, buying a home, the list goes on. So to start saving more, I'd first recommend to track your spending, set goals based on your situation, cut any unused subscriptions, cook at home, avoid unnecessary purchases, automate your savings, and understand where you have your savings placed. I mentioned the last one, especially if you have your savings in a traditional account with a big bank like Bank of America or Chase, where they pay you a solid 0.01% of interest on your savings. This pretty much means that for every $10,000 that you have sitting in their account, they will pay you $1 after a full year, which is 8 cents a month, and they're actually going to end up using your money to make them much more money. So rather than have your money sit and earn nothing, there are other alternatives. One of the best that I recommend is a high yield savings account, where it's pretty much the exact same, but now you're able to earn much more interest for yourself. Currently, many of the accounts range at around 4% of interest that you can earn, and that pretty much means that if you had $10,000 sitting in that type of account, after a full year, assuming the rate stayed the same throughout the entire year, you would be able to earn $400. That equates to $33 extra per month, and all it takes is a few clicks of a button. Now, there are many solid accounts that you could use. I'll have other videos I've created similar to high yield savings accounts in the description below, but I will leave a link in the description below to some of the top high yield savings accounts right now in the market that you may want to consider. But knowing that, the next mistake on my list is not investing properly. Of course, no one invests perfectly, everyone is different, but there are many common mistakes here that can destroy your odds of building true wealth. And also understand that investing can be utilized in many areas such as real estate, crypto, commodities, private equity, venture capital, the list literally goes on. But because the stock market is among the simplest way that nearly anyone can use to build wealth over time, I've become extremely fascinated by it, which is why I create all the content that I do. And so from the countless hours of researching, experiencing, and creating content on this topic, here are 10 of the top mistakes that must be fixed when investing. The first is not starting early, and this is because you want your money to compound over time. The second is investing without a plan, lack of long-term focus, relying on only a few companies to invest into, chasing market trends like hot stocks, failing to diversify your investments, paying high fees, timing the market, expecting overnight success, and overlooking taxes. If you can start as soon as possible and fix all the mistakes that I just listed, your odds of building wealth over time in the stock market will increase significantly. And as I last mentioned about overlooking taxes, the next crucial mistake is failing to max retirement contributions. Although this may seem unnecessary or really far away for you, fully taking advantage of retirement accounts should be among the top priority when it comes to investing, because they provide tax advantages that could end up saving you tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars down the road. The top two I recommend here are the IRA and 401k, ideally the Roth versions for both, especially if you have years ahead of you to invest. But before I explain why, understand that an IRA is an individual retirement account that you can control and manage completely on your own, where a 401k is an employer-sponsored account where you typically choose from a variety of options, and your employer may even match your contribution to the account. But the best part about a Roth account is that you are getting the job done early by paying taxes on the amount you contribute into the account up front, where after that you are able to invest completely tax-free no matter how often you trade the investments, and then once you reach the eligible age of retirement at 59.5 or above, you can actually withdraw however you want from the account completely tax-free, assuming you meet the 5-year rule. So currently the IRAs have a contribution limit of $7,000 for the year of 2025, and the 401k is $23,500 as the employee, but you can do more if it's from the employer, as well as a catch-up contribution if you're above age 50 or between 60 to 63. But the reason that this is a must fix as soon as possible is because the longer you can invest in the market, the more time you have for your investments to grow and compound over time. But just realize that if you are 30 right now, just starting a Roth IRA, and you invest $7,000 per year, which is $583 per month, and average the stock market return over time, you could end up with a portfolio over $1 million, and that's completely tax-free. So all in all, if you were able to pay off your high interest debt, start saving, and then invest, with patience, I have no doubt that you'll be on the right path to financial freedom. With that said, if you want to learn more, I've created many free learning guides and YouTube videos that I think you'll greatly benefit from. And whether you want to get a new credit card to build your score, a high yield savings account for your savings, or an investing platform to start investing, I'll have links in the description below to some of the top options for each in the market, which I will say, depending on the platform that you sign up on, I may earn a commission for it, which is greatly appreciated. With that said, thank you for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and notifications button for future content like this.